Hey guys, Captain Dylan Hubbard at Hubbard's Marina. Wanted to say hello to y'all and thank you for tuning in and hanging out with us on this Sunday night live stream show. Sorry for the little delay in the beginning there. We had a little bit of a technical difficulty, but our man behind the curtain, Josh, got it all fixed up for us and we're ready to rock and roll. So welcome to our live stream show. It is Sunday night, June 11th, our second live stream show of Red Snapper season. That's right, Red Snapper season is upon us, and we're going to talk tonight about fishing, weather, we're going to give away free stuff, and we're going to answer your questions live during the show. So if you want a chance to win some free stuff, make sure you comment. Make sure you leave a message below and tell us how much you love Hubbard's Marina and where you're watching from. Also, don't forget to give the video a like for us. It helps us to reach more people. And share it. Share the video for us. Share it to your favorite fishing club, your fishing group. Share it to your timeline. Share it with your friend. Maybe send a text message. Hey, don't forget this awesome live show is on right now. So make sure you tune in. So check out all those different ways. Help us out. But you first have to at least comment one time. But if you want to tag a friend, if you want to share it, if you want to text a friend, that's even better. Tell a friend. We appreciate it. So with that, we're going to get rolling into the show. We want to start off by thanking everybody who's sending stars. We had Jasmine Marie White, Katrina McDougal. We had Stephen Batchelor, Jason Richmond, LaShonda Brown, Nathan. What's up, my man? Nathan Album with 500 stars. Jason Richmond again. Yukimi Barker, Scott Flynn, Louis Canaveri with the big 500. Thanks, my friend. Ryan Kelly, James McCullum with the big 500. Thank you, buddy. And Nick Wyatt as well. Want to also give a shout out to our friends over there at Gator Jim's Tackle, 3301 Pinellas Point Drive South in St. Pete. If you haven't checked out our friends at Gator Gyms, make sure you do so, and make sure you tell them your friends at Hubbard's Marina sent you. So check out Gator Gyms Tackle, 3301 Pinellas Point Drive South in St. Pete. They make this show possible along with viewers like you, but especially those sending stars, and of course our supporters group really fuels this thing. So really appreciate all the supporters out there. If you're interested in becoming a supporter, it's only $4.99 a month, and it gives you behind the scenes access to our private supporters group, where we give you a lot more information, a behind the scenes look, a little bit of advance notice on things, plus you get the private after show. That supporters group is open on Facebook. You can join on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook page. Right at the top there's a button. Plus, Josh is dropping that supporters link into Facebook chat. Richard Bedwell, appreciate those 500 stars. John Bull, what's up, my friend? Jeff Reedy with the big 1,200. Thanks, my friend. Eric Seberg, what's up, brother? Phil Batisto, Tim Dykes with a big 600, Nick Wyatt, James McCullum again. Appreciate you. Thank you guys very much. Now, let's get into some photos. We got to show you guys some photos. Then we're going to go into a little bit about what's going on now, talk to you guys a little bit about the weather, and then we're going to answer your questions live during the show. If you have a question you want answered live during the show, shoot us a text message at the phone number below. If you want a chance to win free trips tonight, you do have to comment at least one time, watch the entire show live, and then if you're picked as one of those lucky on-screen winners, then you have to text us at the phone number at the bottom of the screen within 5 minutes to prove you're watching live. So make sure you stay tuned, watch live, and then don't forget to text us if you're one of those lucky winners. So first things first, let's start off inshore. Show you guys what we're catching inshore. Right now we're seeing some nice redfish action. The redfish bite is going pretty well. A lot more nighttime docklight fishing for those redfish. With the warmer temperatures, they're lethargic, a little slower moving in the daylight. So those early morning wee hours, dock lights, bridge lights, really doing well for the redfish action. We're also seeing some redfish around those mangrove shorelines up underneath the docks. The shaded areas definitely giving you a better shot at those redfish right now because they're a little bit lethargic and slower moving. So just like you and I, the redfish are looking for shade. So make sure you do so. Look around in those shaded areas for sure. We're seeing a lot of them all throughout the area. The snook on the beaches have slowed down a little bit. The snook magician here, Scott Sadorf, has been struggling a little bit on the beach because of that west wind. The west wind has pushed a lot of that weed that has been hanging out around the Gulf of Mexico. It's concentrated it on our shoreline. It's not sargassum weed. It's not the big sargassum bloom thing, so don't even start with that crap. But it is a little bit of what's called gorilla snot grass. That's what its affectionate name is, unfortunate name is. But it's like this kind of softer, not so thick. It's kind of like a weird, almost algae-looking grass. And it's something that we experience each year around this time of year, and it's a little bit more common behind some red tide. And we did have a little bit of red tide there early in the year, and we're experiencing that gorilla snot grass like we normally do. But because we've had a west wind, all of that stuff that's been flushed out of the bay is now concentrated on our shoreline. So the snook beaches have become a little bit more choked with that stuff, making it tough to target them for sure. So we're seeing that action along the beach. So this fish was early this past week, and we haven't gotten any more from Scott because of that. A lot of the back bay action, the passes have been better for snook than the beaches because of that grass on the beach. We're seeing a lot of the snook around the flats, the mangrove shorelines, dock lines, and then bridges, passes, docks at night. During the day, definitely a lot more action around the flats, the shorelines, and the docks. This one, again, from our friend Scott, early. I think this was at the end of last weekend. Caught some real nice snook out there on the beach over the weekend, last weekend. And hopefully that west wind pattern will break up a little bit. It might break up a little bit this week. We're going to look at the weather here very shortly. We're going to get a little bit of a south wind, and that might help clean up the beaches a little bit for Scott and the fellow fishermen. You can see behind him, right there in that wave, how dark it is. That's that grass that I was talking about. So it's really concentrated up on the beaches and made it a little bit trickier. Ooh, went a little fast there for a second. Sorry. Definitely some good snook action, and looking forward to that returning once this west wind pattern breaks. We've been seeing some of those tarpon around the bridge lights and dock lights for sure. We've been seeing some of the tarpon, some of the juvenile tarpon in the back bay and upper bay areas, and we're seeing a lot of the bigger tarpon around the mouth of the bay, around our passes, and on our beautiful beaches, traveling in some nice size schools. Now, we're going to work our way near shore and offshore and show you guys what we're catching a little bit deeper out there and show you what's going on in the deeper waters. We're seeing some nice big gag groupers, some catch and release gag grouper. Unfortunately, gag grouper are not open right now. Some people have been confused on that. Gag grouper, as we've been discussing, is September 1st through November 10th, so no gag grouper open, but we are seeing some big gag grouper that we're catching and releasing, but still enjoying some nice big old fish, but it is a little bit of a heartbreaker to catch and release these guys. We are seeing lots of nice mangrove snapper action. The mangrove snapper bite has been going real well. We caught one mangrove snapper recently that was 9.8 pounds. Massive mangrove snapper there by our friend Andy. We've been seeing some nice red grouper, even near shore. This was near shore private fishing charter on the hub. Another one from the hub near shore private charters. This one from our 39-hour adventure. Another fat boy red grouper from the offshore long range trips. This is a near shore hub private charter red grouper. Another fat red grouper from the near shore waters. You can tell we're seeing them near shore around that 100-foot mark, 70, 80, 90-foot mark, but mostly we're seeing those big keeper red grouper out deep. And then, of course, red snapper is on and popping. We're in the midst of our red snapper season, doing really well, catching quite a few of them, and really having a good time out there in deeper water. The dead bait has been a real good bite for those red snapper, red grouper, even the big mangroves. We are getting some on the live bait, of course, as well, but the dead bait bite has been hot as of late. The big red snapper is now north of 21 pounds. I think it was 21.9 pounds. It was caught on the Flying Hub 2. So the Flying Hub 2 currently holds the record for the fattest, largest red snapper so far this red snapper season. But it's early, and we still have a lot of season left. Remember, it goes until end of day, August 24th. So we've got a lot of opportunities to get bigger red snapper this season. We're seeing a few blackfin tuna out there. Lots of big, fat, massive yellowtail snapper as of late, too. So the yellowtail snapper bite's been going pretty darn good. And we got lots more photos to show you next week, too. The fishing offshore and deep water has been super great. Now, I do see the birthday girl in the comments. Happy birthday, Bonnie Korniak. Thank you for tuning in on your special night. Didn't expect to see you in the comments during our show, but appreciate you tuning in, Bonnie. Happy birthday. She's been in our regulars club for a long time and been fishing with us pretty regularly, and she celebrated her birthday with us on the 10-hour all day. So thanks for coming out, and happy birthday, Bonnie. Jason Richmond, appreciate those 600 stars, my friend. Rick Rogers with a big 1,200. Larry White, what's up, buddy, with 550. Jessica Hinkle, Richard Bedwell with a big 500. John Bull, and appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for the stars, and appreciate that support. We've shown you the inshore photos. We've shown you the nearshore and offshore photos. Now it's time to talk a little bit about the weather. Let's slide on over there to the #1 fishing charter in the entire country's website. That's right, Hubbard's Marina. We won. Did you guys know that? We won the #1 fishing charter in the entire country. And we were voted third, top 3 best boat tour in the entire country. We are very blessed and super appreciative of you guys. Thank you for making it possible and for voting for us and for fueling our ability to do that. So thank you, all of you viewers and fans and supporters and just Hubbard's Marina family members out there for making that possible. So #1 fishing charter in the country, believe it or not. So let's pop on over to the Weather Links page of the #1 fishing charter in the country, and that's not going to get old, guys. Trust me. So we can see very clearly we get a little bit of weather midweek, starting around Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and into Saturday, unfortunately. But we had beautiful weather today. We're going to have beautiful weather again tomorrow. We've got really nice weather there Tuesday. Wednesday, it's going to start picking up a little bit. Then Thursday, Friday, into Saturday, looking a little bit more nautical and definitely not as pretty as it has been. So middle of the week through end of the work week, start of the weekend, we're experiencing the potential for some adverse conditions. Now let's work our way a little deeper, look at the offshore forecast, see what that looks like. Same kind of pattern. Middle of the work week, Wednesday, it starts, and then it kind of goes through Saturday. So I would say probably Thursday and Friday this week look to have the most potential for being a little bit adverse, but it is early. Don't freak out yet. If you have trips booked, look at this offshore forecast for Saturday. Only 2 foot, 10 mile an hour. So not bad for Saturday. Wednesday is 15, 2 to 3. That's a little bumpy. Thursday's 4 foot, 20 mile an hour. That's not good. Friday is around 15 to 20, about 3 foot solid with some rain. So I would say Thursday and Friday don't look good. Wednesday and Saturday don't look calm, but they don't look terrible. So that's what we're looking at now. And let's find out why. Why are we seeing this increase in weather? In order to find out why, we're going to pop on over here to the right side of our Weather Links page, the ultimate storm forecast page. That is Mike's weather page, spaghettymodels.com. This third column over, we're going to scroll on down to what we call the prog charts. So today's Sunday, tomorrow is Monday, day after tomorrow is Tuesday. So what's happening Tuesday? We see this little low pressure ridge out here. We see an occluded front to our north, this low pressure ridge, and that's Tuesday. So Wednesday is the day the weather starts going a little bit haywire on us, but you don't really see anything on that prog chart, which is strange. So let's zoom in a little bit. So this is Wednesday. Not really seeing anything pronounced to why that weather's starting to pick up. But Thursday, weather looked a little worse, right? Still nothing really showing up as to why. This is Friday. You can just see, what I see is that occluded front hanging up to our north. So that must be what's shooting us weather. Let's pop over here to Saturday. High pressure. So it looks like just a pressure ridge. Let's go back to Mike's weather page. At the very top is a link to one of my other favorite websites, which is Tropical Tidbits. Tropical Tidbits, we're going to go over to forecast models. We're going to go down here to regions. We're going to go up here to the Southeast United States. We're going to click on the GFS. And we're going to pop on over. Let's see. This model run is the newest. Let's see how far it goes. So this is Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday night, Wednesday early morning. I am not seeing much except for this pressure ridge to our north. Here's Thursday, Friday. So it just must be this ridge of pressure fighting with this high pressure. So that tells me that they really don't know and that this could change drastically. So a lot of times when you have this effect, it's basically two ridges of pressure fighting against each other, which is really hard to predict because the high pressure ridge could slide a little bit. That low pressure ridge could slide a little bit. If they get that mixing zone wrong at all, or the strength of one or the strength of the other wrong at all, it can change a lot. So I wouldn't really worry too much about that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday weather yet. I would just keep an eye on it. And focus on the fact that we have really nice weather today, tomorrow, and Tuesday, and hope for the best later this week. So interesting to keep an eye on for sure. One thing I wanted to point out, which I always like to look at this. It's SP, yeah, there we go. All right, so one thing that I wanted to point out, just because I love the old GFS model. Let's go back to regions. I went a little too far on accident today, and I was like, wait a minute, what's this? Let's go tropical Atlantic. No, I don't want that one. We'll go Eastern U.S. This looks good. All right, so look at this. Go a little bit too far in the future. See if it still shows up. Yeah. Know what that is? That is a tropical system, June 25th. That's stronger than it was forecasted this morning, too. And you can see kind of where it makes landfall. Pretty much Hurricane Ian's path. You can see how long it hangs out in that area, which is about 3 days. So really hoping this doesn't come to fruition. This is 14 days away, 2 weeks out, so confidence is extremely, extremely low. But that is a 996, and if we go down here to the Stafford-Simpson scale, a 996, if I remember correctly, is a tropical storm, tropical depression. So it's not quite a hurricane, but it's right there on the cusp. And definitely a lot of rain for about 3 days. So it's early, but that's definitely something we got to keep an eye on because that's only 2 weeks away. And that would stink at the end of June in red snapper season. But we're keeping an eye on it, and we'll see how that one plays out for sure. Terry Feather, appreciate those stars. Tegwin Stockdale, Richard Blazak, Craig Robinson, Jason Richmond with a big 600. Rick Rogers with 1,200. What's up, my friend? Appreciate you guys. Let's give away our first free trip of the night, and then we're going to get into some questions. Remember, if you have a question, text us right there. Text us right there. Why does the chat rules keep popping up? It's probably because of our new chat bot. We have this thing, it's called Hubbard's Marina chat bot. It's like an automated thing that pops up. We'll check the timing on that if it's frustrating you, the chat rules. We'll look into that. All right, so let's find out who won our first free trip of the night. Before we hit the button, thank you, Josh, for waiting. Let's decide what trip we're going to give away. What trip are we going to give away? Let's do 10-hour all-day first. 10-hour all-day. Let's find out who won the 10-hour all-day trip. Lance Lubach from Apollo Beach. Local. Congratulations, Lance, on that 10-hour win. Remember, you have to, in order to claim that free trip, you do have to text us within 5 minutes to claim that free trip. So make sure you text us quickly in order to prove you're watching live, Lance. So you got 5 minutes or less to claim that free trip by texting us at the phone number on the screen. Because you don't want to miss out on your free trip, right? Let's see. Can you use an electric reel on the 12-hour trip, and what size leader and mainline should be used? I would not recommend an electric reel on any of our trips. It's not a good idea. You don't really need it, and it's not really necessarily nor recommended. A lot of times an electric reel is going to be bigger. It's going to be heavier. You're going to make you less mobile because you're going to be tied to a battery. Oftentimes, they're put on reels or rods that are a little too heavy. It can just make it really unwieldy and less maneuverable and much harder to deal with. So I don't recommend an electric reel. You don't need it unless you're fishing 400, 500, 600 foot of water or more. Really, we're fishing less than 250 foot of the water 99% of the time, especially on a 12-hour extreme trip. You're fishing 220, 230, 240 foot at most. So most of the time we're fishing 150, 160, 180 foot. So you really don't need an electric reel, nor would we recommend it. But as far as leader size goes, for red snapper, I'd be fishing about a 60-pound leader, maybe 80-pound if the bite was really hot and I was fishing super deep with a really big bait. But 60-pound test is generally what I'm going to be using for red snapper, red grouper, that kind of thing. There are some gags around, but they're not open, so I'm not too worried about using super heavy leader, and I get more action, more bites using a little lighter leader. So 60-pound 7/0 hook would be my setup for a red snapper. Generally a 60-pound with a double snelled 6 or 7/0 hook with a chunk of deadbait is what I'm going to be using for red snapper. Maybe even 50-pound with 6s or 40-pound with 6s if the bite's a little slow on that 12-hour or 39-hour. You could go as much as 7, 8/0 with 80-pound if you wanted to, but you don't need to go too crazy. What is a cheap but good trolling setup for a 39-hour or 44-hour? The cheapest, not the cheapest, the best value setup that you could get out the door for trolling on a 39 or 44-hour is going to run you around $489, $480-ish. Remember, you get 10% off if you're on a trip with us, so really it's $449 if you're on a trip and you buy it the day of your trip. And that is a $399 Shimano TLD 50 LRSA 2-speed trolling reel that we sell in our shop. It's a 50 wide. It's a nice, big, wide, heavy-duty reel. 2-speed. It works really well for trolling. And you can pair that on top of one of our killer sticks or one of our monster sticks, one of those solid glass kind of heavier duty, I guess you could say, rods. And they're pretty good priced, right? They're only about $89 for the monster stick and about $100 to $129 for some of the killer sticks. So $89 rod and a $399 reel. And it's not a bad price at all. Plus, you get 10% off when you're on a trip with us. So that's going to be your best value trolling option. And we carry those in our shop. Plus, we got the Rapala X wraps, which work really, really well. What do you recommend for mainline mono on a Shimano TLD 30A? I would probably match your mainline. Someone asked me that today. You match your mainline to your drag ratings generally. So if you're fishing a reel that has 30 pounds of drag, it doesn't make sense to put 80-pound line on it, even if it's a really big reel. If you're fishing a reel, you want to kind of match the line to the size and strength of the reel. So if you've got a smaller reel with 30 pounds of drag, I would probably put maybe 40 or 50-pound line on it. It doesn't make sense to double the main line compared to your drag. Like if you had a 30-pound drag, it wouldn't make sense to put 60-pound main line on it. Definitely not 80-pound. If you've got 40 pounds of drag, maybe 60-pound or 80 makes a little bit more sense at that point. You got 50 pounds, definitely 80-pound main line would make sense. So match your line, your main line, to your drag rating. If your drag rating is 20 pounds, don't put more than 40, maybe 50-pound on your main line. Doesn't make sense if you have a 20-pound drag to put 60-pound main line on. So match up your main line to your drag rating. Match up your rod rating to your drag rating. Your drag rating really dictates what size line and what size rod you want to put on that reel. If you've got a reel that's rated to 30 pounds of drag, I'd probably put 50-pound main line, and I'd probably put that reel on something that's rated 20 to 40, 30 to 50, something like that. Don't go crazy. That way you have a nice quality setup with some good sensitivity, and it works really well while you're out there fishing in deeper water. You can feel the bite and still have some success catching those fish, because you want to make sure you can feel the bite for sure. Let's see, what other questions do we have? What is the time difference between Facebook and YouTube? I like to watch your show on YouTube, but I try to win a trip on Facebook. There shouldn't be much of a time difference, maybe a few seconds. If the thing on YouTube is you can kind of backtrack a little bit. Facebook, you can't rewind away from live until after the show ends, I believe. Whereas YouTube, even while we're live, you can start to get off track and accidentally rewind a little bit or pause it, and then the delay can get bigger. But generally, it's only a few seconds off, if that. Let's see, what other questions do we have? On a rental pole, what's the leader setup? So it depends, right? So often on, say, like a 5-hour half day, you're going to have a 40-pound leader. On a 10-hour all day, we're going to have 40 and 60-pound leaders. The 60-pound leader is going to have a little bigger hook. The 40-pound leader is going to have a little smaller hook. On a 39-hour trip, the rental rod is going to have 60-pound main line, and then we're going to show you where the 40-pound is, where the 60-pound is, where the 80-pound is. We're going to show you how to tie the knots, and then we're going to help you and encourage you to make a bunch of pre-made leaders with that leader material and those hooks. We're going to help you out. We're going to show you how to do that double snell rig, and then you're going to make a bunch of leaders that you can tie on throughout the trip. So there's a lot of different options for you in that regard. Can you turn up the volume? I think we already did do turn up the volume. Yeah, we already turned up the volume. All right. Can barely hear at max volume. Oh, I'm sorry about that. I'm glad we were able to adjust it. 39-hour trip. I saw a lot of snapper. What is the limit? You're allowed a total of 2 per person per day. And 2 per person per day on that 39-hour trip, that means you're able to keep 4. So it enables you to keep more of those red snapper on the 39-hour trip because you're on a 2-day trip. Any trip longer than 30 hours with 2 captains on a federally permitted vessel, you're out a 2-day bag limit. So 39 and 44 hours, you're allowed 4 red snapper. 12-hour extreme trip, you're only allowed 2 red snapper. What is your go-to brand for reels? Definitely Daiwa. Daiwa is definitely my favorite reel brand, but Shimano is really good too. I love Shimano. For me, a Shimano reel is a lot like a Daiwa reel. It just costs a little bit more money because it says Shimano on the side. So like say a Shimano Talica and a Daiwa Saltiga, in my opinion, are very equal quality wise, except for a Shimano Talica is more expensive. And that Daiwa Saltiga has a 5-year extended warranty and service. So for 5 years, I can take that Saltiga reel from Daiwa and send it back to Daiwa. And all I have to do is pay for shipping. They're going to get that reel. They're going to fix it up, clean it up, and send it back to me with 2-day shipping absolutely free for 5 years. So in reality, if I was to send my reel to Daiwa twice a year for 5 years, it's a free reel, essentially, instead of paying for service. So really, really good value for a Daiwa Saltiga reel compared to a Shimano Talica reel. But a Shimano Talica reel is a really nice reel, except for Shimano's really proud of their stuff. They charge a little bit more, and also at the same time, their service just doesn't match up to that Daiwa service guarantee and warranty. That's why I prefer Daiwa. But Daiwa and Shimano are definitely my 2 favorite brands. Accurate is really good too. Avet is awesome. There's some other really good ones. Siegler is pretty cool. They have some cool stuff. And they're pretty awesome. They're U.S. based. Those are the main ones, I would say. Maxell has some pretty cool stuff out there, but they also have a little bit of questionable stuff. Do you prefer mono, or does fluorocarbon leader offer any advantage fishing in deep water? So technology has changed a lot, right? So back in the day when fluorocarbon came out, fluorocarbon was, I think, a lot better than mono, but mono has advanced a lot recently. So I would say yes and no. Fluorocarbon has less memory generally, and it's going to have less stretch, and it's going to be more abrasion resistant generally. And generally, it disappears in the water a little bit better. But now mono disappears in the water really well. The abrasion resistance is better. The stretch is lower. So it's hard to say. I personally still like using fluorocarbon for my leader material just out of habit. Does it make a huge difference? I think abrasion resistance, it's a little harder, so I think that makes a little bit of a difference, but it's really hard to say with any certainty for sure. Do you have to be on Facebook to win a prize, or can I watch on YouTube? You can definitely watch on YouTube. You can watch on Trovo, on Twitch, on TikTok, and you can watch the show anywhere. In order to have a chance to win, you do have to comment at least one time on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream. As long as you comment once on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream, you can watch it anywhere and anywhere you want. But you do have to comment at least once on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream in order to be eligible to win. All right, let's see here. What other questions do we have tonight? Siegler fishing reels, lifetime warranty as long as you own it. Their word is their guarantee. See, I mentioned Siegler reels. They're pretty good company, pretty cool, and I believe they're U.S. based as well. Let's see, how many total keepers caught in the last 39-hour trip and number of fishermen? Well, let's go to the tape. Let's go to the tape and show you what the last 39-hour did, because they did really well on this most recent 39-hour trip. As far as total numbers of keepers go, they had the opportunity to limit out on fish on the red snapper. So it was a lot of red snapper. So 50 people times 4, right? So a lot of red snapper. 200 red snapper. Look at me, I can do math in my head. All right, let's see. Full screen. No, that's the wrong one. Josh, what button am I hitting over here? Thanks, buddy. Wow. Stellar pile of meat there.
With a massive pile of red snapper, some nice muttons,
Volume's really
some
low.
big mangrove snapper, almacos, vermilions, porgies, yellowtails, some red grouper in the mix there. Looks like you guys absolutely destroyed it, huh?
Yeah, we did. We smoked them.
Nice, man. How was that nighttime bite?
It was good. It was steady. We picked yellowtails, mangrove snappers throughout the course of the night. A lot of vermilions and porgies. Every stop we were catching fish.
Nice.
From start to finish throughout the whole course of the night.
What was the hot bite for the mangrove snapper, the hot bait?
I think for the most part it was the thread fins.
The thread fins was the hot bait through the nighttime.
Yeah.
What was, I see a lot of nice big mangrove snapper here. What do you think the average size was, some of the big ones?
5 pounds, maybe the bigger one's 5 pounds. We
That's
got some
awesome.
really big yellowtails right at sunup. The yellowtails started biting, and they were eating everything. Squid.
I saw quite a few really big mutton snapper too.
Yeah, we did get I would say 6 or 8 mutton snappers. They were eating the
Wow.
live bait.
6 to 8 mutton snapper. That's quite the
There's
big
a good
bonus.
one right there.
Yeah, that's a big
There's
one.
there's one a little bigger than that.
Wow.
And we
That's
threw
awesome.
we threw quite a few back too, some smaller ones.
That's awesome, man.
Pretty awesome catch for sure. They did well on that 39-hour trips. Definitely some stud red snapper, some nice big mangrove snapper. They caught a lot of muttons, as you saw there. So a really good trip overall. As far as total number of keepers, I don't have the exact information in front of me, but they definitely everybody had a chance to limit out on red snapper. And if you didn't, it was your own fault. Because what some people do is they try to wait and they're like, oh, I'm going to throw this red snapper back because I'm going to try to get a bigger one. But then you don't get a bigger one because the trip ends or we stop trying to target them. So I would definitely recommend trying to stick to catching and keeping your fish and then moving on to another species and, like, say, trying to target mangrove snapper or trying to target red grouper. And that way you're going to make sure you come home with a limit for sure. What is better to brine fish, regular salt or sea salt? The age-old argument. Some people say kosher salt. Some people say ice cream salt. Some people say table salt. Some people say sea salt. Some people say this kind of salt, that kind of salt. It doesn't matter, in my opinion. I get the cheapest table salt possible. I think salt is salt. It's salt. If it dissolves well, it is salt. If you're putting it in your body, I wouldn't recommend processed or refined salt, but that's a whole different video. You're not eating this stuff, so I would suggest going with whatever kind of salt is going to dissolve. But sea salt is a little bit more natural, I guess you could say. So I would generally go sea salt, but I don't think it much matters. I mean, your brine and bait, you put enough salt in there, it's going to be salty. It's going to get the job done. When does red snapper season end and amberjack start? So amberjack starts August 1st. Red snapper season ends August 24th. For us at Hubbard's Marina, end of day, August 24th is the end of our red snapper season. Now, on the amberjack front, we've been talking a lot about amberjack season opening up August 1st. However, I heard some disappointing news at this recent Gulf of Mexico Fishery Management Council meeting, and that disappointing news was that amberjack season is probably only going to be about 3 weeks. Again, let me repeat that slower. So we heard that amberjack season is probably only going to be about 3 weeks, believe it or not. So most likely we're going to see that announcement coming soon where we're going to hear about a 3-week amberjack season starting August 1st. But that coincides with the end of our red snapper season, so the first 3 weeks of August is going to be your best chance for some amberjack and red snapper. Let's see, what other questions do we have? Will Labor Day be good night fishing? I don't know. I see you guys change to a 44-hour. So our 44-hour trips are just offered close to a full moon. So around the full moon phases, we offer those 44 hours instead of a 39-hour. Like, for example, the full moon is on like a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Instead of a 39-hour on Friday, we're going to put in a 44-hour trip. So the 44 hours are just in... instead of doing a Friday 39-hour, we do a Friday 44-hour if the full moon falls on or close to that weekend, is our train of thought. All right, so let's give away another free trip. Let's do our 5-hour half day. 5-hour half day. Let's see who the lucky winner is of our 5-hour half day. Jason Richmond, congratulations, my friend. Appreciate you watching. That's awesome, man. Jason Richmond. I want to take one of my boats to John's Pass for snook and tarpon. That's a good idea. Now you can go out and do a 5-hour half day after you catch some snook and tarpon. What's your favorite fish and how do you prepare it? Well, first of all, Hellman's mayonnaise is the secret of preparing your fish, or going to the Friendly Fisherman restaurant, Caddy's Waterfront Bar, or Boardwalk Grill. So personally, I like letting the restaurants in John's Pass prepare my fish, because then I don't have to mess with them when I get home. But if you want to prepare your fish at home, get yourself a Hubbard's Marina Mayo t-shirt, because Hellman's mayonnaise is the best. And it's the Hubbard's logo on the front. It's our Hubbard's Marina family recipe on the back for how to cook your fish. And Josh just dropped the link to our online store, and that Mayo t-shirt has the recipe on the back, but also our fishing tips and tricks page has the video on the recipe. But if you use Duke's Mayo, your fish is going to taste like garbage, and you got to use Hellman's. That's the secret. So make sure, what I do is I take my fish, obviously fillet it. Once your fish is filleted, then you're going to take that fillet home. You're going to clean it up real nice, and don't get it too rinsed down at the dock. You just rinse it down right before you're about to cook it. You rinse it down a little bit at the dock. Don't go crazy. But once you get home and you're about to cook it, you rinse it down really well. Pat dry it. Once it's patted dry, you take your Hellman's mayonnaise, you give it a light coat, a little bit of leaven from that mayonnaise. And what the mayonnaise does is it ultimately seals in the moisture of the fish, and it gives a little bit of a crisp. That fat cooks off, and it gives it a little bit of a crispy edge. Locks in the moisture of the fillet, and what it does is it allows a seasoning to stick. So you pat dry your fillets, you give it a light coat of mayonnaise, you dust it with onion powder, garlic powder, black pepper, Himalayan sea salt, but you don't have to use any kind of salt. But I like Himalayan sea salt. And then I hit it with some Everglades seasoning. Or instead of Everglades seasoning, you could do like blackened seasoning. You could go crazy from there. But I recommend at least salt, pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, and I like a little bit of garlic salt as well. But the secret weapon is that light coating of mayonnaise. It locks in the moisture and it crisps up that fish. And then you put it on a really, really hot grill until you just start to see those edges turn translucent, I think is the word. Where those edges start to become a little bit opaque. Opaque is the word, not translucent. So once it starts to become a little bit cooked on those edges, you flip it, and then you let it cook a little bit longer on that second side. The trick is to flip it early, because if you let it sit on one side too long and it overcooks, or not overcooks, if it cooks more thoroughly, when you go to flip it, it's going to break apart and fall through the grill grates, and you're going to ruin your fillet. So you flip it a little early and let it actually cook on that second side. That is the trick to the old grill flip. But you want to get it really hot and sear it. That way you don't overcook it. Really like a rare fish is what you're going for. Maybe maybe medium rare. You don't want to overcook your fish. That's the important thing for sure. Let's see, what other questions? Oh yeah, and you can also get some fish and seasonings at Don's Dock now, our seafood market. So if you haven't been out fishing in a while and you want to cook some fish, you can stop by our seafood market at Don's Dock and buy some fish. We also have sauces and some special seasonings down there at Don's Dock as well. But you have to use Hellman's mayonnaise. So we're going to ignore all the comments about Duke's mayonnaise and just chalk it up to ignorance. Is all of your slow pitch jigs online? Was looking for one that I lost and didn't see it. No, not all of our tackle is on our online store. A lot of it is, but not all of it. There is some stuff in our online or in our shop in person that's not on our online store. Let's see, what other questions do we have? Are red grouper closing July 31st? They are closing. Red grouper closes July 31st. We've got triggerfish reopening August 1st. We have amberjack opening August 1st. We have gag grouper September 1st through November 10th. So a little bit different this year for sure. What other questions do we have? What is the deepest you go on a 44-hour? It depends. Sometimes 120 foot. Sometimes 250 foot. Generally on a 44-hour, we're going to fish a little further than we do on a 39-hour, a little bit. And you're going to get a little bit more fishing time. But it doesn't always mean deeper, right? We could fish further north. We could fish further south. So the 44-hour, you're not necessarily going to be fishing deeper, but generally you are going to be fishing a little bit further. Does that sometimes coincide with deeper? Yes. No question, just a salute to the Extreme Trip crew today. They are the best boat limit on snapper. Yeah, Captain Garrett and Captain Rich crushed it on the Flying Hub 2 today. Some really nice red grouper, red snapper, and some big scamp mixed in too. What colors and type of jigs work best for a grouper on a 10-hour? The best jigs and stuff to use for grouper would be on a 12-hour or a 39-hour or a 44-hour. You have a chance for a grouper on a 10-hour trip, but we're not fishing very deep, 60 to 100 foot generally on a 10-hour trip. So we're not getting super far out there, and the chances for grouper are somewhat lower. But for red grouper, pinks, greens, blues are a popular option. Gold is a better option for scamp grouper in general. Black, gold. Glow is always a good one to throw in there as well. But generally, for red grouper, shallower water, pinks and greens, maybe some blues. But I would not target a 10-hour trip if I wanted to slow pitch jig or red grouper fish. Really, the 10-hour is going to be the shallowest possible you would even consider it, but really it's not the best option. You've got the 5-hour half day, which is our close to shore family-friendly trip. Then you've got the 10-hour all day, which goes a little bit further, basically twice as far for twice as long compared to our family-friendly beginning angler 5-hour half day, but you're still not super deep. You're only 60 to 100 foot. You're only about 15 to 25 miles from John's Pass. Really a specialty trip like a 12-hour extreme trip, a 12-hour night trip, a 39-hour, 44-hour, that's when you're getting out there to deeper water with the better chance for some of those keeper red grouper. What's the main difference between a 12 and 39-hour trip? Besides, one is a nearly 3-day trip. One fishes a lot longer, twice as long. A 12-hour fishes 70 to 100 miles. A 39-hour fishes 70 to 100 miles as well. But a 39-hour has 20 hours of fishing time. A 12-hour extreme trip only has 7, maybe 8 hours of fishing time, really 7 hours of fishing time. So a 39-hour literally has almost 3 times as much fishing time. So it's impossible to compare the two. The difference between a 12-hour and a 39-hour is night and day. One is a day trip with a very limited amount of fishing time in deep water, whereas one is a long-range, multi-day trip with a 2-day bag limit with tons of fishing time. On a 39-hour, you start fishing at night. You fish all the way through the night, through the sunrise, all day until the sunset. Whereas a 12-hour extreme trip, you start fishing after sunrise. You stop fishing in the early afternoon. You don't really get very much fishing time, but you get to sleep in your own bed. A 12-hour extreme is like a 39-hour for someone who can't be gone for more than a day. Or maybe you're not comfortable sleeping on a boat. Maybe you don't have enough time. Maybe you got young kids at home. Maybe you got a job that you can't escape for 39 hours. So I like the 12-hour extreme myself, because if I only got one day to sneak offshore, a 12-hour extreme is a great option for me, because I can slide out and slide back and don't miss too much goings-ons, you know. Let's see. What other questions do we have? I like to go slow pitch jigging. Will I be able to slow pitch jig on a 39-hour trip? Yes. Slow pitch jigging is very popular on a 39-hour trip. Now, don't really recommend it during red snapper season, because we're so busy and the season is so short and the demand is so high and the trips are a little bit more packed. Unless you were going to do it on like one of those limited load 39-hour trips, which we have one June 20th and July 11th. Or if you wanted to wait until after red snapper season when we have a lot more room on the boat, definitely is a good option. You can slow pitch jig during red snapper season, but you really want to be in spot 35, spot 36, up there in the bow somewhere is a good option. But yes, it does work really well, and yes, people do often do it on those long-range trips. Let's see here. I went fishing on a 10-hour trip and saw a big sea turtle with a pink sea turtle shell. What species is that? I honestly couldn't tell you. Generally, you don't see a pink shell on a sea turtle. What you do see on a loggerhead sea turtle is they sometimes have like a pearlescent look to them, and it can appear kind of pinkish, especially from a little bit far away. It can look reddish pink a lot of times, especially up on the surface. That reflection can look a little reddish pink, but I wouldn't be able to tell you what exactly you saw without being there. But I've never seen a pink sea turtle, to answer your question. Let's see here. Is it swag pack time already? So we gave away our 10-hour all day. We gave away our 5-hour half day. Let's see who won our Hubbard's Marina swag pack. The Hubbard's Marina swag pack goes to Christine Rizzo from Holiday, Florida. A little bit further out there. Congratulations, Christine Rizzo. Remember, you got 5 minutes or less to claim that free giveaway by texting the phone number on the screen. And if you're a swag pack winner, you got to text us your shirt size. All right, so next question. Congratulations on being the #1 fishing charter in the country. You guys deserve it. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. We are very, very blessed and extremely humbled, for sure. I went fishing on the 10-hour... Oh, we already read that one. 40 pounds of salt for your swimming pool is $7 at Home Depot. It's been lasting for me for 5 years. Now that is some good, solid brining action. That's a lot of salt. So if you want enough salt to brine your bait for years to come, that is a good option for you. The Home Depot pool salt. There you go. What other questions might we have? Leatherback turtle is generally a black shell. Leatherback is a very black shell generally, but they do, I guess they have pinkish splotches sometimes. Maybe it was like one of those albino ones. Hey, Captain, any big mutton snapper on the 10-hour? Not often, if at all. We did catch a 13-pounder on a 39-hour trip. We do see some pretty big mutton snapper, but they're generally super deep water. On a 10-hour trip, if we catch a mutton snapper, it would be extremely rare, and it wouldn't be very big. will you be able to have gluten-free beer at Final Friday? We generally have gluten-free beer options inside our shop in our beer fridge, and some of the bars sell gluten-free beer. The free beer we give away at Final Friday is Busch Latte, so Busch Light, which is heavy gluten. Not gluten-free, unfortunately. Let's see here. What other questions? Going on a 39-hour trip, how is slow pitch jig fishing doing on those trips? Pretty good. We had a guy on this last trip do real well on the 39-hour using slow pitch jig fishing, but he planned ahead and fished the bow. So he was fishing in spots like 32 through 35 with his buddies, and they were all slow pitch jigging in the bow, catching a bunch of fish. If you've got a spot in the stern, don't slow pitch jig. If you got a spot on the side of the boat towards the stern, don't slow pitch jig. But if you're fishing up in the bow, that is a great opportunity to do some slow pitch jig fishing for sure. And really the best area to do it for sure. Yes, Busch Latte is cheap and it is free. So if you don't like the free beer we give away, you can always buy some higher end beer. We sell Stella in the shop. We have some other great options in our shop for sale. So if you don't like the free beer, you can always get other options that we sell in the shop. But the Busch Light is free. And you can't beat free, right? You don't have to drink the free beer. You can eat the free food. And you don't have to drink the free beer or eat the free food. But Final Friday is June 30th, 6 to 9 p.m. So if you like some free beer and some free food, come join us. June 30th, 6 to 9 p.m. Speaking of events, we've got Bass Pro Shops coming up this next weekend, June 18th, 2 p.m., which I realized today on my drive home is Father's Day. 2 p.m., June 18th. We're going to be at Bass Pro Shops talking fishing, giving away free trips. So come out and win the father in your life a free fishing trip. So June 18th, we're going to be at Bass Pro Shops, 2 p.m. And then this week, June 15th, we're going to be at the Salt Strong Insider Fishing Club meeting at Caddy's in Treasure Island. So that is June 15th at 6:30 p.m. June 18th, Bass Pro Shops, 2 p.m. And then June 30th, 6 to 9 p.m. for our Final Friday event. Let's see, what other questions do we have? If I'm booked on the stern, is there any way to switch to the bow? You can definitely switch to the bow if there's spots open. And then when the trip gets closer, like if you show up for the trip, I'm sure we could ask some people fishing closer to the bow, and they'd be more than happy to switch, most likely. So you could always kind of do that horse trading, right? And I'm sure someone on the bow would be willing to switch, be tricked into fishing the stern. I like the bow personally, and I like fishing the bow, and I recommend the bow. But some people still want to book the stern and really fight for the stern. So somebody's probably fishing the bow that wants to fish the stern. So we would probably be able to find someone to switch with you. Are you able to accommodate someone who is gluten-free on the 39-hour? And I called and was told no. So we sell gluten-free beer in our shop, and there's, of course, some gluten-free options around John's Pass. But on our boat, in that small galley, we do not accommodate any special dietary restrictions. So if you have any dietary restrictions, if you have allergies, if you are, for example, on a kosher diet or halal or any kind of specialized diet or dietary restrictions, bring your own food, because we cannot accommodate dietary restrictions in the galley space and galley area that we have. It's just impossible to cook for 30, 40, 50 people and then be able to accommodate some dietary restrictions or allergies. So we don't want to get anybody sick or go down that road of potentially causing someone to break their dietary restrictions. So we just don't mess with it. It makes it really, really difficult, right, in the space that's provided. So We don't, unfortunately, we're not able to accommodate that. But you can bring your own food, and then things that we cook that you are able to eat, of course, you can participate in that. We talked about the events. The other thing I wanted to mention was the light load red snapper trips. We kind of mentioned it shortly. June 20th, July 11th are the 2 limited load red snapper trips with less people on them. If you want a chance to book those, there's going to be plenty more elbow room. So June 20th, July 11th are going to be those 2 options. And then voting. We talked a lot about being the #1 fishing charter in the country. But remember, the Tampa Bay's 10 best. It's called Tampa Bay Best of the Best. Tampa Bay Best of the Best. That voting is on now. So Google Tampa Bay Best of the Best, and you're going to find the voting for Hubbard's Marina as best local tourist attraction, best fishing charter, and then vote for Don's Dock or Hubbard's Marina as the best seafood market. So make sure you vote everywhere and every day for the best of the best. Tampa Bay Best of the Best. That is going to be open, I believe, through June 21st, right, Josh? June 21st, yep. So you have through June 21st, the next 10 days, we need you to vote every day for Hubbard's Marina as the best local tourist attraction, best fishing charter, and then also under, I believe, shopping, you'll find seafood market. Vote for Don's Dock and or Hubbard's Marina, or maybe switch on and off each day. It'd be cool to win first and second best seafood market. We appreciate y'all and appreciate everybody tuning in and hanging out with us. I think that was all of our announcements that we had to do. We should probably check any late star senders as well. Don Schuett with a big 200. Could appreciate you, man. Katrina McDougal, Nancy Fenner, Don Schuett again, Terry Feather, Tegwin Stockdale. I think I said thank you to everybody who sent stars tonight. Appreciate all of those of you who are supporters. If you're a part of our supporters group, we're going to have your supporters after show at 8:50. So make sure you join us for our supporters after show if you are in our supporters group. It is only $4.99 a month for behind-the-scenes access to that private supporters group. You get the after show. You got a lot of behind-the-scenes information and some advance notice. So make sure you check out becoming a supporter today. And then also, we hope to see you at Bass Pro Shops next week, Sunday, June 18th at 2 p.m. And hopefully we'll see you right here for another live stream show. Remember, these live shows are every Sunday night at 7:30 p.m. Tell your friends, please help us to reach one more person. Each one of you, if you enjoyed the show, if you got some value, if you might have learned something, you might have just laughed once or twice, check out the fee of watching the shows. Tell a friend. Get a friend. Tell them, hey, should check out Hubbard's Marina's live show. It's every Sunday night at 7:30. Just one person is all I ask for. If you enjoy the show each week, tell one person each week about the show and help us to reach more people. We want to grow the show and keep doing it, but I need your help. I need your help. We're the #1 fishing charter in the country, and that deserves telling at least one friend about the best live stream show in the country, right? Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for watching and being a part of it, guys, and making it all possible. We couldn't do anything without you at home. So thank you for being a part of our Hubbard's Marina family. Now, let's find out who won our 39-hour fishing trip for one lucky winner. Now, this is someone who has watched the entire show live, someone who's commented, and hopefully they've shared the stream. Hopefully they're subscribed on YouTube. Hopefully they're following us on TikTok. Now, let's find out who won the 39-hour fishing trip for one lucky winner. That lucky winner is Kim St. Clair from Lexington, Kentucky. Congratulations, Kim. You've got 5 minutes or less to prove you're watching live. Text the phone number on the screen by sending us your full home address within 5 minutes, and that proves you're watching live. Remember, Don't forget to check us out on all those different social medias every Sunday night right here, 7:30 p.m. Tell your friends, and hopefully we'll see you out there on the water, because if you're too busy to go fishing, you're just too darn busy. Thanks for watching, y'all, and thanks for being a part of our Hubbard's Marina family.